Hello and welcome to the lecture, Blues Guitar Lead Licks. In this lecture, we're going to learn to play blues guitar or blues lead guitar using tablature or tab. It's a notation that makes it easy to note not only chords. Chords are better in chord diagrams, but playing individual notes in lead is typically better in tablature, and I'll show you why here in a sec. Okay, so here's the guitar neck, and what we do is tablature looks like music, but it's easier to play on guitar because it's representing the guitar neck rather than arbitrary intervals between notes. Let me show you what I mean. So here's the guitar neck, and here's what tablature looks like. In fact, I have noted the song Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star in tablature. Now, the first thing to note is from left to right doesn't mean your neck or the head or the body of the guitar. It means the passage of time. So you're playing notes from the left to the right, one at a time. The other thing to notice is that the fretboard, which is being represented here, is a little strange in the sense that the low E string is on the bottom and the high E string is on the top. So it's kind of like you're looking down at your guitar here. What they do is instead of using left and right to show you where on the neck to play, they put a number to tell you the fret to play. So from left to right, the first note that I'm going to play is I'm going to play on the second string down, the third fret up. And that's what this says. And after that, I'll play the third fret up again. And then I'll move down 2 strings and I'll play that open twice. And then I'll play 2 with the 2 fret. You can see how easy this is. This is a really easy notation for learning guitar. Tablature is something you must learn. It's going to open up your guitar playing to new possibilities. So let's play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star together using this tablet. Okay, so we begin with the second string down with the third fret being depressed. Now looking ahead and seeing what I've got to play in the future, I can kind of see that the 3 string or the 3 fret is the highest I go. So I put my 3 finger on that, which is about the highest finger I want to use. So right, that's the song. And notice how you can play this straight just with the frets and the notes that you have to play. Now you have to figure out some fingering. Sometimes they'll give you some help with fingering. They'll give you little notes on which finger to use on which note. But typically you just take the time to figure out how I'm going to play this stretch of tablature and what fingers I'm going to use. So that's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. What about we try to blues things out a little bit more here? And here is your blues shuffle rhythm. This is what it would look like in tab, right? We're going to hold down in G, by the way. So we're going to hold down the 3 fret on the low E string, and below that the 5 fret. And we're going to go back and forth between the 5 and the 7. Right? And we'll go up to the C and up to the D. So I wanted to show you what standard blues looks like in tablature. Now in tablature, you're more going to see leads and song melodies and stuff like that rather than chords. You'll still see chord diagrams used for chording or for raking chords. Now here, this is a really fun, so as your first exercise in tab, here is a really neat little pattern. I wouldn't call it a lead. It's almost like a bass pattern, but it gets you picking individual strings, which is what lead is all about, and it's an interesting pattern to play, and it sounds cool. So 3-3, 2-2, 5-5, 3-2. Got it? That's the first one. So So that's really fun to play. And you should just, right now we're just trying to get your fingers moving. Don't worry about wailing on bending strings and stuff like that. Just see if you can play individual notes with your pick. That's hard enough, getting the right string, but also getting the right note. There we go. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to play the blues in G using our picking pattern. So let's go ahead and play that together. Did you make it through that? Well, we're about to make it a little harder, because one of the things that we haven't been considering is your right hand, the one that holds the pick. You have choices as to whether to go up or down on these strings, and the optimal way to pick this pattern is called an alternating picking pattern, where you pick up and down. So if you've been picking down all the time on this, you just like that. I've been picking down. Well, try picking down and then up. It's a little more difficult at first, but after that, you're going to find there's a certain economy in pick movement that makes it much easier to play. So, your next assignment is to play the alternating picking pattern and play a G blues using this picking pattern. Okay, next, here we go. We're actually going to start getting into more lead licks. I'm going to teach you 5 short blues lead licks. Why so few? Because there's so many on the internet. I don't need to show you a lot of blues licks. All I need to do is show you the general idea and then send you out onto the internet to learn Clapton, Hendrix, whoever you want to learn from. Stevie Ray Vaughan, they're all out there on the internet in tab. So let's begin with our first lead lick. This is fairly simple. There we go. It's all notes in the pentatonic scale for G. By the way, we're playing in G. I should have let you know that. And notice that it has 2 types of picking patterns. Once again, we're going to have to start being concerned with how we pick. For instance, in going from the 7 down to the 5 on the next string, you can decide to use complete alternate picking, and some people just go that way. It doesn't matter, they pick up, down, just constantly and consistently. But in going from that 7 to the 5, you can actually, it's more efficient to pick down to get to that 5 and then up, right? And pick alternately on the rest of the strings. I'm going to leave that up to you. Advanced picking technique is probably beyond the scope of this course, but hey, it's not beyond the scope of the next course, so get ready for that. What about lead number 2? Okay, that's fairly easy. And then number 3. Now, this one has some interesting new notation on it. And what that notation is a hammer-on. So rather than playing the 6 and the 7 here, you hammer it on. So watch this. You pick the 5, and then you hammer on. Do you hear that 6? That's right. You can hear the note because you hammer your finger onto that 6. So we're doing this in triplets, and you just play 3 triplets. Right? And that's the next lead. And then finally, we have an interesting one here where you do a bend. Now this is a full bend, so you're bending up a full 2 steps or 2 frets on this 7 string. So it sounds like this. Like that. Okay, and here comes one more lead that I really like. And this, all you do is you put your finger, your 1 finger down on the 5 fret for the bottom or the high E and the string above it. So those 2 high strings, you put your 1 finger on it on the 5, and then you bend the 7. So you go. Got that? So you bend that 7 up, and you try and bend it up as far as you can. And then you release the 7 and you just play the 2 5s. So that's a cool little lick. Now that's all of our licks that I'm going to show you. If you want to find more licks, go out and search. As I say, go out and find them on the internet if you're looking for more licks. But let's go ahead and return to some of these licks and give it a try. What we're about to learn is how to play with yourself. And the way that you do that is that you hit a chord and you have a little break and you put in one of these licks. So let's try that. And then you go to the next chord and the next lick. And let's go back to that previous lick. You just you put the leads together in various ways, playing with yourself. Now in the next lecture we're really going to start jamming and we're going to go for this technique. But for now, it's the best way to play with yourself is just play a chord out of the blues and then use one of these leads to fill in a little lead. So I'm going to play a G blues here, and what I want you to do is to go back to these various leads, and I want you to play with them. So here we go. The first one. Let's play a blues lead and play this lead and play various notes in the pentatonic scale to expand on it. So here we go. Here's our blues. So there you go. If that wasn't enough time to experiment with the leads, then don't worry, because we've got some more rhythms coming up for you to play that in. Now, one more lead that I want to give you. This is really cool. I just kind of play this when I pick up the guitar. It naturally comes to my fingers. So it's this rock and roll lick that's really pretty cool. And I can play this almost through an entire blues. I do a slight variation, and I'm going to play this for you. So here, what you do is you go on the 5 fret, down on the very bottom, and instead of just holding the bottom two strings, which are being played, also move your finger up onto the third string up, because you realize that's about to be played via a pull-off. Now, what's a pull-off? We haven't seen that yet. If you pull your fingers off, rather than directly off the keyboard, pull them off at an angle, you'll actually pull the strings and sound them. It sounds like this. You hear the way that that second string is being played? I'm not playing the pick on it, I'm pulling off. And then you're going to hammer on to the 7th string. So like that. So you play 5. Right? So you can play almost an entire lick just using this one little riff. So let's try it again, right? We're on the 5, and then you hit the 5 again. So 5, hit the 7s up there on the 2nd string, and then pull them off to the 5, and hammer on the 7. You can't quite hear that. I'm losing my pull-offs and stuff. And then play the 5s again. So... And you can play it either in a rock or more of a shuffle bluesy sound. So that's a cool little riff to learn to use in some kind of a rock and roll pattern. And go ahead and play this riff as long as you can and see if you can get it down. Learning blues lead guitar. Guess what my next guitar course will be about? It'll be more about learning blues lead guitar. So we're just beginning to dabble in this. It's actually a quite large subject that deserves its own class. I would search the internet for tab. You can learn virtually any lead that you want out on the internet. They're all documented via tab, which means that you can play them. And look for good books and videos that have licks in them. Just learn licks and then transpose them into the key that you're playing in, and hey, voila, you're playing lead guitar in the blues. So, what did we learn in this lecture? We learned how to read guitar tablature, or tab. We learned how to play a cool lead rhythm, right? The... Right? That's pretty cool. We learned about alternate picking, which can be much quicker in picking out these leads. And then we got 5 short blues licks. Sorry there weren't more, but you just got to play with the pentatonic scale and get them. There will be much more in the next class. And then we learned how to play the classic rock lick. Right? And in the next lecture, we're going to learn how to play lead with ourselves. We're going to get more into that technique of playing a little rhythm, singing a little stop, and then play a lead riff. And that's the way that we're going to jam with ourselves, which is exactly what the next lecture is, and I'll see you there. Let's start jamming. In the meanwhile, practice those leads, practice that pentatonic scale, and let's get ready to play some lead guitar.